All rise.
This is Deeper Than Money. Talk to me. I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling.
If he is not going to honor you, he needs to be gone.
Compassionate.
I don't want you to give up on your dreams. I don't. And I want to figure out how we get this straight.
She's powerful.
If I were in this situation, I would have put you out too.
And she's on the bench.
I feel like I'm being judged here.
That's what I do.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Carol Baker is suing Elizabeth Smith in the amount of $900. Ms. Baker claims her neighbor's little boy scribbled all over her freshly painted wall while she was babysitting, and says Ms. Smith refused to pay the cost to repaint.
All right, I understand we're here because there was a problem between the two of you who are actually neighbors. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
And that there's been a long-standing relationship between the two of you, yet and still you're here to sue. Tell me why.
Judge, I have been taking care of Elizabeth's son, Connor, who was a fantastic little boy at 3. Rambunctious, but a lot of fun, and I enjoy taking care of him. We had an instance where Connor wrote on my living room wall,
Oh,
and to repair that, it will require repainting the entire living room, and the cost of that will be approximately $900.
my goodness. And you all weren't able to work this out?
Yes, we tried. We
So
did try.
tell me now, are you all next door neighbors, or how do you all actually know each other?
We live about 2 houses apart.
2 houses apart, and Connor is your son.
Yes, he's my
And
3-year-old.
And so talk to me about the relationship between the two of you.
Sure. Well, I moved into the neighborhood right before Connor was born. I have an older daughter who's 6 now, and she was 3 at the time. And we met our neighbor Carol, who just lives down the street. When Connor was born, she offered to start, after he was a little bit older, to start watching him for me. And she said she would do it for free. She didn't have kids of her own. Her husband had passed. And so it was kind of a nice way for her to get to spend time with my son. Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
To be a mother, to have 2 young children, and to have someone in your neighborhood just a couple of doors away who offered the operative word for free to care for your 3-year-old. And so for the life of me, I don't understand why we're in court today. She says that Connor drew on her wall, on her living room wall, and that she wants it to be repainted, and the cost will be $900. So let's talk about this. How is it that you extended this generous offer to this young mother in your neighborhood?
She's a neighbor. She has the children. She's busy, very busy. And
And where were you when my children were little? My goodness.
and I love children. I'm good with children. And he's only 3. He's darling. And he's rambunctious. He's kind of a handful, but he's fun. And she needs the help. And I'm here. I'm retired. And my husband has passed away, and I have the time.
You know, where was the Miss Baker in my neighborhood when my children were there? Because listen, I was a working mom. I had 2 sons. And so I understand when you talk about rambunctious, because particularly my younger of the 2 sons was exceptionally rambunctious. And I had a pretty heavy duty job as a young mother because I was a lawyer. And so I'm trying to balance being a mom and being a lawyer. And I was a lawyer for a global airline, so I was having cases all kinds of places. And so it would have been really nice to have had a neighbor like you. So now tell me about the day that Connor was there and what happened to the wall.
So, as usual, Elizabeth dropped off Connor in the morning with his backpack. And I had mentioned to Elizabeth, please don't put any crayons or markers in the bag without telling me.
Right? I mean, that was reasonable, right? Because she needs to know if there's things in there.
I usually just put his snacks. I put toys in there for him, his juice, and I think this time there might have been crayons in there, but I thought I would have mentioned that.
I don't remember that she mentioned it.
She said, she doesn't
So
say
I-
that she mentioned it. I don't know that she knew that they were in there, to tell you the truth. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, honestly, they're new crayons that Connor had just gotten, and I think he was excited about having them, and he might have put them in the backpack.
And that you
himself.
didn't notice that they were there. Is it reasonable to say that if you knew they were there, you would have told her?
I'd tell her, yeah. I'd say, he has got crayons, maybe you want to color together, but she has said before.
Yeah, I don't think she's saying that she told you. I don't know that she knew that they were in there.
I don't remember that she said anything. So as usual, we went into the living room where we play, and then shortly thereafter, Elizabeth was calling and texting quite frequently.
Why?
She called and said, "Can you take care of him next month?" And I said, "Yes, well, let me check my calendar," which is in the other room.
Right.
So I left Connor
And went to check your calendar.
and went to check my calendar. I wasn't gone long, but by the time I came back, there was all this scribbling.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
I would suspect that you're missing Connor a lot.
He is a lot of fun, and I love taking care of him.
And so you haven't been able to see him because of this.
No.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Carol Baker, who is suing Elizabeth Smith for property damage.
Well, let me see. Do you have pictures of
Yes,
what
I
happened?
do.
And the wall? Let me see those, please.
There's one.
All right, let me see. And so in your complaint, you say that you had recently had the living room painted.
The living room was recently painted 2 months ago, brand new paint, the whole living room. That's on one wall. So now the wall needs to be repainted. And Elizabeth
So
said-
why does it cost $900 to repaint this wall?
Yeah, Elizabeth said, well, maybe she can scratch it off or rub it off.
Oh, no, it's not going to be rubbed off. No, that's not
And
going to
then she said, well, maybe her husband, who is a school teacher, could just repaint the wall. And I said, I'm sorry, but my style is I use professional people to paint my home. I'm pretty fussy about it. I don't believe I want to use a school teacher to paint my wall.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty on this. So why would it cost $900 to paint this wall?
End of story. I had a professional painter paint that living room. And I called him up and I said, what can we do with this?
Right.
And he said, if you paint only one wall, it won't match the other walls.
Why not?
Because paint, once it dries, takes a period of time to cure and the color to come up.
But Ms. Baker, it was only painted 2 months ago.
But in that 2 months, the light can cause it to change colors, okay?
So basically you're telling me that you called the original painter, he came back in and said, I can't just do this one wall, I have to paint the entire living room
In order for it to match.
to match. And that is where we came up with the $900.
Yes, it's his estimate.
Oh, all right, so what did you offer to do? Let's talk about this. Obviously, this is a relationship that you value.
Yes, it is. It has become a bit, I hate to say, a little bit of a nuisance.
Why? Tell me why.
Well, Carol will text me sometimes, and we don't live far apart, but I work from home part-time. I'm a bookkeeper. I work out of the house, and then I work at home doing a lot of the books for some small businesses in town.
Okay.
So I am pretty busy with that. She will text me kind of not at the best time. One time she texted me, Connor's napping, and she said, she demands Connor time. I need time with him. I haven't seen him. I miss him. I need time with your son. And so sometimes we'll be doing something else. I'll have other plans. I have to go out of my way to bring him over there. Her house is child-proof, but it's not child-friendly. For example, the paint that she got, it's the top of the line. My husband offered, he's not a professional painter, but he did offer to paint it. I looked up, I even tried on my walls at home. Connor has never crayoned on the walls at home. He's only 3, but he knows we color on paper, we don't color on the walls. He does know that, and his sister never did that either. I tried at home to get the crayon off, and I found a solution that worked, and I offered, can I try that at Carol's house? She said, no, do not touch it. When she called me that day, she was I thought something had happened to my son. I got the most terrified phone call from her. She sounded hysterical. She sounded like she was near tears. The first thing I think when I hear her call me is something happened.
Something's happened to Connor.
Yes, I was panicked.
Yeah.
My mouth went dry. I said, what happened? I hear my little guy crying in the background. She says, what happened? My wall. I thought he had hurt himself. So she says, you have to come over here right away. So I stopped what I'm doing. I still had to go pick up my older girl from school. I didn't. I run over to Carol's to see what the damage was. I walk into the living room. I'm expecting something horrible. I see crayon, and I was relieved, but I felt embarrassed that he had done this. But
Right.
I also wondered, she said, I said, well, let's start cleaning it. No, don't touch it. I have to take photos of this. This is evidence. And I started to get worried. Okay, now we're talking about evidence. She said, do not touch this.
Wow.
I said, well, maybe we can try to clean it. This painter that she's found, I think, is a ripoff. He wants $900.
That's not true.
Yeah, $900, and not just to do the wall. Now she wants her entire living room painted.
That's where I'm stuck. That's where I'm stuck on this. But let me just back up a minute, because I just want to talk about the value of this relationship, right? And it seems to me that the value, that even though she might sometimes be overreaching, in a sense, is what I'm feeling from you today, is that there's such a value in having a Carol in your life. And there are two things that are happening. I would suspect that you're missing Connor a lot.
He was a lot of fun, and he is a lot of fun, and I love taking care of him.
And so you haven't been able to see him because of this.
No.
And so I'm assuming that this has happened several months ago, and so it's been several months since you've been able to see Connor. Is that
I
reasonable?
don't believe she's allowing him to let him see me, and I'm hurt.
I'm going to rule on the money, but I want to talk to you realistically about what this means. We've got a little boy who has a grandma figure, a couple of doors down, that clearly you trust her because you wouldn't let Connor be there. I think she's sincere when she says he's wonderful, he's rambunctious, he's a lot of fun. And she has the time, and she sees you as this working young mother with two children.
Coming up,
Those were caring neighbors. My family was in crisis. They didn't change words. They literally scooped me up. I say that to say that those relationships are priceless.
you're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Carol Baker, who is suing Elizabeth Smith for property damage.
I told this story before, and I'm going to make it abbreviated in the interest of time today. But I can still stand at the picture window. Do you know what that means? It's just a big glass window in the living room of our home when I was a little girl. And I was 5 years old, and my brother, who is 4 years younger, was only a year old and was critically ill. And I remember standing in that window, and the ambulance was parked on the street with the light going like this. And my parents were preparing to rush my brother to the hospital. Neighbors, who we affectionately referred to as Aunt Clara and Uncle Pete. Aunt Clara was first. I can still remember her running, house coat and slippers. Uncle Pete was a little bit more buttoned up, so I think he took a moment to put on trousers and a shirt. Uncle Pete came into my house, scooped me up in his arms, and they took me home. And I must have lived with them for almost a week because my parents were at the hospital around the clock. Because at that point, it wasn't clear whether he was going to live. Fortunately, he did. But my point is that those were caring neighbors. My family was in crisis. They didn't change words. They literally scooped me up. I say that to say that those relationships are priceless.
Coming up,
It's about a relationship that needs to be fixed, right? It needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed because you know what? God forbid something happened to you.
you're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Carol Baker, who is suing Elizabeth Smith for property damage.
I would hope that this could get worked out because there's a void in your life without Connor being there.
Yes.
Connor, I'm certain, misses you, and there's a young mother, a working mother, who needs the help, right? And this has got to get worked out. Now, Miss Baker, I want the one wall painted, and let's see how it looks. I don't know that this painter is being realistic after 2 months to tell you you got to paint the whole daggone living room. And so, you know, we'll put it back on the calendar. If you come in here and convince me that it still looks horrible and something, you know, I might even pay for the rest of the living room to be there. But I am not going to order this young couple to pay $900 because there was one wall that was marred. It doesn't seem reasonable to me. It just does not seem reasonable to me. And so I am going to, at this point, we're going to figure out there 4 walls, $900. We're going to say that maybe $250 a wall, $1,000, if that's what it kind of rounds up to. We're going to get the painter in that she chooses, the paint that she chooses. Let's get this wall done, this one wall done. Ms. Baker, just work with me on this. I'm asking you to work with me. You got to meet me on this one, right? Because it's really more important than this wall. It's about a relationship that needs to be fixed, right? It needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. Because you know what? God forbid something happened to you. They would be there to see about you.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
We need this relationship to get fixed, all right? Now, if the wall is slightly different, isn't it worth getting the relationship repaired? Yes?
Yes.
Maybe we painted an accent wall. Have you thought about that? Maybe one wall is yellow or orange, and that can be like your Connor wall. And you look at it and say, you know, when Connor comes back with his children and visits you, you say, you know what? Your daddy scribbled all over this wall when he was 3 years old, and that's why this wall is yellow as opposed to the rest of the living room being white. All right? I need you to work with me. I'm awarding $250. Let's get this painter back in. Use the paint that you want. We'll hold this case open for another 90 days, and you all are back to report to me. That makes sense?
Yes.
All right, I'm entering judgment in the plaintiff's favor of $250. But this needs to be fixed because this relationship is worth more than that painted wall. Am I crystal clear? Yeah. Am I super crystal clear?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250 will stand adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $250.
Any final words, comments for each other?
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you.
Your Honor. I think that was really fair.
Exit to the rear of the court.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.